Hi, I'm Dr. Lacey Rosenbaum. I am the CEO and founder of the Mental Health and Resilience Group.
What inspired you to get into the mental health field?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple reasons. I know my own family history, folks who've experienced mental health challenges. I myself have struggled with anxiety and postpartum anxiety. Were all some pretty driving factors for me. And then yeah, I originally became a counselor, worked closely with folks in a variety of settings, and then went on to get my Ph.D. As a research psychologist, and now continue to work in the mental health space. So it's personal, it's professional, kind of all of those things for me.
And then I was looking at your LinkedIn and you have quite a journey. Could you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Who doesn't? But certainly, I know there's been all sorts of opportunities along the way. Um, Started out really focused on kind of direct service roles, working with folks who'd experienced homelessness, with folks that had serious mental illness, and found those roles extremely rewarding, but also I think kept coming back to something that I felt like was maybe a little bit bigger, thinking about that prevention side of the space, and even kind of like the systems level. And so part of kind of going back to get my PhD was to really kind of better understand, how to build programs that could really focus on prevention, and supporting people earlier on, before, right, there maybe are these places that folks are getting to in crisis, or experiencing really serious mental illness. And so I had some opportunities along the way to step into some larger leadership roles. One was at the American Psychological Association. I was directing a national program, working closely with school districts and state education agencies across the country, and really thinking about how we created cultures at school where students could really thrive, where their health was focused on, parents and families could be engaged. So that was really a really powerful role, and I was loving that work. And then I had an opportunity to work for the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, directing mental health first aid's curriculum research department, and similarly was just really excited and inspired by the opportunities I had to create national training programs, really focused on prevention, really helping people learn how to recognize and respond when those around them may be experiencing mental health challenges, and getting them connected to resources. So those opportunities were really amazing. I actually experienced a bit of burnout myself as I was going through the pandemic, and had my own kids, and felt like I just also needed to focus on my mental health. And so that's really kind of what led me to create the Mental Health and Resilience Group, both personally, a business that I could run and really focus my energy on, and something that would still allow me to really reach organizations and schools, and focus on mental health. So a bit of a journey, but feeling really proud about where I am and kind of where I've come from.
How does helping people help your own healing process?
That's such a good question. Um, yeah, I think it's so powerful to both connect with humans, right, on a deeper level. I think anytime we have that type of connection, it's, hopefully really, it's helpful to both parties. And so I know for me, anytime I'm working in a space, whether a training or even an interview like this, right, when you get to connect with humans, learn more about them, share your own experiences, I think there's some level of healing that I know happens for me. Learning, sharing, knowing I don't have it completely figured out, and just being open to being vulnerable as well, I think is something that I've learned along the way. And I know when I'm connecting with folks, I try to offer that same sense of vulnerability alongside them. And I know I'm always learning from others, no matter if I'm in the role of, the leader, the consultant, the trainer. Like, I'm always so open to learning right alongside anyone.
So a few days ago, my wife and I were talking, and she's like, "You should have more interviews about caretakers." And sometimes I don't think about it. I think about my mental health. But how important is it for the caretakers to have their own support system?
It's so important, right? It's so important. And I think a lot of the work that I do really tries to recognize those different levels when I'm working with schools or even an organization. Right, that self-care piece is so important, right? Making sure people have the tools, the resources to really care for their own mental well-being. But I always think of, like, that's not enough either. So it's also, right, making sure that there are folks that are equipped to recognize when those around us may be struggling, right, may need some extra support, and being able to reach out and offer that help and support. We can't do it alone, right? This idea that everyone's just out there, like, taking care of themselves, and especially for caretakers, right, that they're just able to kind of do this themselves, right? We really need to be able to equip people, whether it's at the school level or the community level, to reach out. And then that third level, that systems level, really thinking about how for a school, for example, how are we creating a school system that can really, equip and empower everyone that's a part of it, from the school staff, the teachers, the students, the parents, right, to really focus on well-being, to be able to come into those spaces and be their authentic selves, right, to not only this idea of trauma-informed work is important, but how are we creating healing spaces as well? And so I think that applies to the caretaker role as well. So we just put so much on them as individuals. And I think there's just a lot more that we can be doing across these systems.
And your experience shows that you've done everything. So I feel like sometimes I live with bipolar disorder too. So I have lived experience, but sometimes I don't know what's going on in either the health field or science field, research field. It kind of feels like a silo. Is it important for everyone to work together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Michael, first of all, thanks for sharing that. And I just wanted to say, I just appreciate how vocal you've been and sharing your own experiences. I mean, I just think it's so important. And so just wanted to commend you and thank you for sharing your own journey and being so open and vulnerable about it. I think that's just really important. And to answer your question more directly, actually, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Can you rephrase? Can you say it again?
All the mental health facets, lived experience. Yes.
Yes, and not working in silos. Thank you. I was like, I had it and I lost it. Oh, bit of a summer brain still. I think it's so important. And I think I'm seeing, and I don't know if this has been your experience, that people are recognizing that more, right? That we can't have folks working in academia doing research without, like, fully understanding the implications for creating programs and bringing in that important, lived experience. Like, we can't do these things in isolation. And I know a lot of the work I've done has focused on young people and programs that focus on middle and high school students. And so I think even, we're finding, and I am a huge fan of really involving young people, right? Getting their voice, getting their perspective, right? We can't create programs for them without them sitting at the table and sharing their ideas. And I think that goes for many programs, right, across a whole range of health and mental health fields. And so research as well. I mean, I think I love designing research that is really involving, right? Not just asking people questions, but like really sitting down, like, does this make sense? Is this a good way to evaluate an intervention, a program, right? Does this align with your experiences? So I think there's work to be done, but I also think that I'm seeing, at least from my side, right, more recognition of just how important it is to have everyone at the table, and to really make sure and to ask those questions too, like, who's not here, right? Whose voice are we not hearing from as we're designing these programs, these interventions, from the beginning all the way to the evaluation side of it. So yeah, I appreciate that you kind of bring that into the space now. It's so important.
Have you seen the teens, young adults that you've worked with or heard? Have you seen them be more open about talking about mental health?
I definitely have. I think there's some good news, and in the work that I'm doing with young people, a lot of that has been recently through this foundation, the Ryan Bartel Foundation. Gosh, these young people are amazing, right? They're open to sharing. They want to talk about their emotions, right? They're really okay with not being okay, as we so often hear, and they're okay, right? Like supporting one another and being really vulnerable. Often I hear that those students then say, gosh, I wish my parents, or I wish like the adults in my life could be the same and could, talk to me about my mental health and feelings, right? So I think there's some work to do and bring in the adults along. But gosh, I see it even in my own kids, and I've got young elementary kids. They're able to talk about how they can cope when they're overwhelmed with big feelings, and they have some coping strategies that they turn to that are really healthy. I mean, those are things that, gosh, I didn't talk about, or I didn't understand when I was their age. So I'm really hopeful with this generation that they're definitely going to be okay. I think it's the rest of us, the adults, that really just need to follow along and kind of let them lead, right? And we can learn from them.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Great question. So important. I love to be outdoors. Anytime I can connect with nature, walking. I have a dog. We love to go for walks. Love to do yoga, run when I can. And really, when I can spend time with my kids and just really like turn everything off, right? Put my devices away, step away from work. It really fills my cup. So those are some of the things that I do. Something I'm working on is just being better with boundaries. And I'm involved in a lot of things right now. I'm doing a lot, and sometimes I also have to just say, like, I can't do that. I can't do that right now, as much as I would like to. So that's something that I'm working on to support my own mental health. As I shared, I've had some experiences of burnout in the past, and so I'm always really mindful of trying to find a good balance for me, and some that can look different each day, each week. I just try to check in with myself.
I like what you said with burnout is, so how can you fight burnout?
Well, like I said, I definitely have had my own personal experiences. I think there's two parts, and I know I work with a lot of companies, and this is always like a hot topic, right? They're saying, gosh, we have people that say they're burnt out, or managers are reporting that employees are burnt out. I think it's kind of back to this approach that I always often lead with, right? We have to make sure that folks at the individual level have the tools and resources to support their own mental wellness, right? That can look like a lot of different things, right? It's part on the individual, but it's also bigger than that, right? We can't just assume the same with self-care or caregivers that right, individuals can just take care of themselves and work through something. also has to be the recognition, right? Whether at a manager level or higher at the leadership level, to really look at the culture and, right, is this a space where people feel like they can ask questions? Like if they make a mistake, is that something, right, that they can talk about? How are we addressing workload, right? And checking in. I mean, I think there just needs to be a lot more of those conversations, getting really curious about how people are truly feeling, not just kind of continuing to pour more on employees, especially, and assuming, right, they can handle that. You mentioned your wife is a teacher. I mean, I work with schools a lot as well, and it's a huge challenge, right? Addressing the burnout of teachers. I mean, we ask them to do so very much. And I think there just needs to be more recognition on the part of school leaders, right? School boards, to really look at what are we asking our teachers to do, and are we giving them the time and the space and the resources to be able to do that, and checking in with them, right? Are you okay, right? Do you need more help and support? So, it's a tough one, but I think trying to kind of address it from both of those sides is important.
I did want to ask about the Ryan Bartel Foundation, because they do so much amazing work. So could you just talk about it?
Absolutely, yes. This is a foundation I've been working really closely with for the past 2 years, and I'm just excited about some of the initiatives that they have going on. This is a youth suicide prevention organization based in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. And they're taking a really innovative approach to working with young people. So really focused on building resilience, building coping strategies with middle and high school students. And they do this, actually, their signature program, it really centers around these experiential mental wellness events. So bringing in folks from the community who deliver workshops in everything from mindfulness, yoga, expressive arts, connecting with nature, animals. And the workshops allow these students to connect with others, for one, which is, so important, for students to have spaces to just connect and interact with peers. But then it's also focused on, right, how are you feeling while you're doing this activity, right? Painting, for example, or, interacting with this therapy dog, or taking a walk in nature. And then thinking about, gosh, is this something that you could do the next time you have some big feelings, the next time you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed? So there's a lot of messaging that gets infused in those workshops. And it's been pretty incredible to see many of the students in the program really taking some valuable mental wellness lessons alongside kind of what they're getting out of the program. So yeah, exciting work that's happening over there.
Where do you want to see your mission in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, that's such a great question, Michael.
Thank you.
You're full of really good questions. I am kind of actively looking at kind of the direction I want to go. I'm working on creating kind of some more tools and resources that people can access from my website. I'm going to be kind of pushing some of those resources out, especially and as we get into our back to school season, for schools, for teachers, just some more kind of standalone resources and information. But I absolutely just want to continue to grow and to have more opportunities to connect with schools and organizations, businesses, providing training and ongoing consultation and support to really just help reach more people and change some of these conversations that are being had. So yes, some more kind of standalone resources, and then just some continued growth.
So how can people reach out and learn more?
Thank you. Yes. I have a website, the Mental Health and Resilience Group, and they can head over there to that website I have all of my services listed. You can contact me directly through that website. Would love to have conversations, from a school perspective, from a company perspective, really about how my organization can support your work. And like I said, really thinking about those important levels, right? It's not just a one-off training, check, we're done. It's really thinking about that individual level, as well as the systems and the culture that the organization has.